Thank you everyone for being here today. My name is John Moore. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I am currently a graduate assistant at Western Illinois University. I did the housing internship program last year at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I worked with Badger pre-college programs, and I will be your host today. We have four great panelists here today who are here to share their knowledge with you and help you through kind of any questions you might have about interviewing with the ACUHO-I process of receiving interviews, what to do to prepare for interviews, and they have lots of great knowledge. They've been doing this for a while. I'll let them introduce themselves, and I will start off with Stephanie.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Hessbacher. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Furman University, which is in Greenville, South Carolina, near Clemson. I've hired interns through my time at the University of Tulsa in Oklahoma and currently at my current institution, Furman University. Sorry, we're popcorning. Michael.
Hello, everyone. Still good morning for me, I guess. My name is Michael Palacios, he, him pronouns. I'm the Associate Director for Community Engagement and Learning Initiatives at Seattle University, where it is still 9 a.m. We're just getting our day started and it is gloomy and rainy out, but still excited to be here with you all. I actually did an ACUHO-I internship when I was in grad school at Texas A&M Commerce and currently oversee all of our intern and grad selection for Seattle University. And I will pass it over to Jasmine.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jasmine Mahoney. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the Associate Director for Residence Education at the Rhode Island School of Design, or RISD. I, too, had the chance to be an ACUHO-I intern at RISD years ago and absolutely loved it, and have since done hiring at both Boston College and overseen interns there, as well as for RISD. So welcome, and then I'm going to pass it over to Lena.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lena Schwallenberg, she, her pronouns, please. I am currently serving as the area coordinator at Berklee College of Music, which is in Boston. So I split my time with housing operations and res ed, and was overseeing our process for hiring for our positions here last year. Also did my internship at RISD, so in good company today. And is there anybody else that still needs to go, or am I passing it back to you, John?
Yeah, you can just pass it right back to me.
Fantastic.
So yes, thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. And then for all my candidates that are in the room currently, I just want to let you know kind of what this process is going to look like for the next few 45, 50, 55 minutes. So I am going to start us off with a question for our panelists to ask. And I have two questions I'll be going through and asking them. Once you get through those two questions, we're going to kind of open the floor for you all to ask questions of your own. When you go to ask questions, or if you have a question, please use the raise your hand feature on the Zoom. And then once you go to answer your question, I will call on someone, and then please introduce yourself, say where you're currently at, your pronouns, and anything else you'd like to let us know about yourself. So to start this off with, the first question that we're going to ask for our panelists is, for the position you are hosting or have hosted in the past, what were you looking for from candidates who applied to your internship? And I will start off with Jasmine.
Thank you. So for RISD, when we were recruiting in the past and what we're looking for this year, we're looking for folks who are interested or curious about working with art and design students. We do often have a lot of candidates apply who are at liberal arts colleges or state institutions who said, I've never worked with an art student before, but I'd love the opportunity to do so. So that curiosity is really important to us, knowing fully that we will train you and give you some development and also an opportunity to engage with the arts at the same time. Additionally, we're looking for folks who are going to be some creative problem solvers and also just be passionate about making connections, not just with our pre-college students or with the staff and residence life, but with our entire little big university. Since student affairs in our division is very collaborative, we want interns to feel like they have the opportunity to connect with others, whether it's in residence life and housing or outside of that at the same time. So that curiosity, that desire to learn about the arts, and then the desire to connect with others, I think are the biggest things that we're looking for. And then I can popcorn it over to Stephanie.
Thank you, Jasmine. At Furman, we, when possible, try to host at least 2 interns. We'll do one in my area, which is the housing and res life side. The other side would be more operations and that type of work. With our interns, we're looking for someone who is definitely interested in hitting the ground running. We give you a full supervisory experience. You'll have up to roughly about 15 RAs that you will oversee, as well as a senior student staff member. We would like you to have some housing experience and also have the initiative to just do your own tasks. Of course, we're here to support and help as much as possible, but we'd like to sit down with you right away and figure out what is your passion area and see if we can have a task that you can do that on the side. We treat our interns as full-time professional staff. We have a department of about 11 people for housing, and then we'll also have you go around the campus and interview other people in different offices. So you will have that similar experience to what Jasmine was referring to of getting to know campus partners. With our campus, we're a little unique. We are about 2,600 students with a 4-year required residency. And you do not see that very often. So that's one of those things that we're also looking for, someone who wants to come to Greenville and have a different experience. You can have a small school experience, which is great, but then you can have a small school experience with required residency, which is a totally different ballgame. And again, that's a little tip. Like, if you're going to interview for a small school, don't just tell me you want to have a small school experience. Tell me that you've done the research on my institution, and that's one of the things that kind of pulls you in a little bit. So that's pretty much what we're looking for, especially. Lena.
Such great answers. Wow. When we're thinking about our opportunities, Berkeley has an array of them, from working in housing to working directly in what might be considered more like a campus life or student involvement for the summer. And so we're highly collaborative between 2 departments, which means that it requires a lot of flexibility, a lot of autonomy, and a lot of interest in being able to go outside of what might be considered a traditional housing role. First, I think that it's mostly about recognizing that there's teachable skills, and those are things that we're prepared to train individuals on. And then there are things that are interest, commitment, drive, curiosity. And I think that those are things that are really intrinsic into a candidate. And so we're looking for individuals who are like ready to do the work and excited to be in a new environment. Boston is incredible. Berkeley's right in the center of it. And so like, you are really in the heart of an educational capital. And right, you're working with anyone from high school age students to matriculated students that are here for summer programs. And so you're really running the gambit of opportunity and getting to like stretch those muscles as a developing supervisor, a developing conduct officer. And so I think we're mostly looking for people who have interest, desire, curiosity, and a willingness to grow. And I'll pass it over. Michael, have you gone?
Perfect. Thank you, Lena. So I'd say at Seattle U, something that we look for in our interns is, one, our internship is very project-based. So you're not supervising, doing summer school, you're not doing conferences and things like that. It's really working on various tasks, whether that's related to RA selection, RA training, our senior team training. We just adopted our curricular approach and are still doing lots of work with that, and want people who are kind of excited and interested in learning more about that. But then on top of that, I think like any housing department, there's never a shortage of projects or things that we can have people to work on. And so coming with us to knowing what experiences you want to gain out of it, because we have specific things we want you to work on, but we also have built in some buffer and some time for you to express interest in various things as well too. And so coming into the interview and the process, kind of knowing that, I would say the other thing to note is we are in Seattle. If you haven't been to the Pacific Northwest, Seattle in the summer is beautiful and amazing. And we want people to be able to experience that, but also understand what Seattle U is. So Seattle U is a small, private Jesuit Catholic institution. We are a very mission-driven institution, and we really live by our values. And so even if we have an intern who is here only for 8 weeks, we want to make sure that they are coming in understanding that experience and are willing to be very collaborative. I think many of us have talked about We are a smaller campus as well too that's very collaborative, and our interns last year really enjoyed getting to meet other directors and people to network. I think that's a huge thing for us as well too. And so it's exciting time, but the big thing we want to make sure people coming in know is one, that it's very project based, it's very autonomous. We want to make sure that we give you the tools and set you up for success in your very short 8 weeks that you're here with us. But we're also very excited to welcome people. The last thing I will offer is that we are also a quarter school, and many students who applied are on the semester system. So if you work in housing and residence life, our interns last year, they closed at their universities. 2 days later came to our university, then 2 weeks later helped us close. So it's a very go time for us, but it's also that very unique experience where you get to see us kind of wrap up our summer and close, and then kind of go into that summer operation side. And so it was an exciting time, and we hope to have people who are interested and excited about that.
Thank you so much for answering those questions. Our next question that we will be asking is, what should candidates be looking for from internships they are applying to and then also interviewing with? And I will start off with Lena.
Thank you. Actually, I got some amazing advice when I was entering the job search from a mentor, and I think it applies really well to the internship search process as well. And it was thinking about 3 critical elements and recognizing that, like, the big three, right, was the environment. Is it going to be a space or a location or a department where, like, you're going to be able to live the life that you want to, right? Like, are you somebody that needs a lot of outdoor opportunity and engagement? Are you somebody that needs to be in the hustle and bustle of a big city lifestyle? Part of it is the work. Is it work that you actually enjoy? Are you somebody that wants to go for conferences? Are you somebody that wants to get into housing operations? Will you pull your hair out if you have to do housing operations, right? Like, what is the actual core of the job that you're doing? And then third, the people that you're going to be spending the time with. You might not know your fellow interns as you're going through the process, but as you're interviewing with the people that might be supervising you, might be in the department, are those people that share your values? Are those people that you enjoy being around? Do you feel comfortable talking to them, right? And recognizing that to have any base level of satisfaction, you need at least 2 out of the 3. And I think for me, that was so important when I was looking for opportunities, both for an internship and for a full-time job. So when I was in, your shoes, I was thinking to myself, what do I really need? And for me at the time, it was, I am on the campus environment. I'm at a big SEC school in the South. I want to try something new. I want to be somewhere else, and which led me ultimately to RISD, right? Like, I wanted to be somewhere with a different population of students. And that was really critical. So I would say when you are looking, maintain some of those in mind, be really honest about what your priorities and your needs are, have your non-negotiables, and stick to them. There are so many postings that you don't have to compromise yourself or your experience. The goal is to get one that's going to enhance this for you. And I'll pass to Jasmine.
Yes, I echo a lot of what Lena said as well too, right? Finding your institutional fit, whether it's for like a career or for the summer, is extremely important. But going through the process and being honest about what you want is, I think, going to be my number one. Knowing that there's going to be a lot of internships that look very similar, but may have different nuances to them. Make sure that you get to advocate for yourself to say, this is what I'm looking for, and to clarify if that's what they're able to provide for you. Because more often than not, if not always, your interviewers want to be as transparent with you as you're being with them. In addition, talk to them about what your supervisory needs are, right? If you're coming into a housing role, maybe you don't have some previous housing experience in the way that you want to. Be honest with that and talk about what that potential supervisor relationship can be in the interview as you go through those stages. You have the opportunity to set a really strong foundation of expectations for the both of you as well as for your team. And then do your research. You are going to be interviewing for multiple positions at multiple institutions, some that start to feel very similar. So it's important to know that you have your stuff locked down, because it's going to matter to your interviewers too, and it's going to be helpful to you as you go to pick which school is right for you. Understand what it is that you align with the school, if it's values-based, and be able to articulate that, as well as being able to kind of toot your own horn. I know people become very, very humble during interviews, and we love that. It's always a great quality, but we want to see the ways that you shine, and we want to see that you're proud of that at the same time. So tell us what your skills are, and also tell us where you want to grow at the same time. Most of these internships are really developmental. Those tasks that Michael were talking about, right? They could be catered to you in so many different ways, or you could be placed with them because it's going to give you some growth in that area. And letting your interviewers know that ahead of time really helps with that decision-making process. And then also, my last thing I would say is be authentic. It's really easy to be performative in interviews and to think that you are setting yourself up to be the ideal candidate for that institution. But if it's not true to you, you're not going to thrive in the way that you want to. So show up, be yourself, advocate for those needs, do your research, and truly interview your interviewers at the same time. Make sure it's a good fit for you, because that's what's going to be important, and it will be exhausting. There will be lots of interviews back to back. You may be in different time zones like Michael is right now. So be strategic about that as well, so that you can show up as your best self to the best of your ability. And with that, I will pass it to Michael.
Yeah, I will definitely, I guess, retweet what Lena and Jasmine has said as well too. I think a big thing I could give advice on is making sure that you're going in prepared. As they said, you're going to be interviewing with lots of different schools, and so we're not expecting, every single little minute detail on everything. But even if it's you're spending, a few minutes to research kind of every institution, look at the position, kind of why that institution is something, that experience you're looking for. So, are you at that large school, want that smaller school experience? Are you at that small school, want that large school experience? Do you want conference experience? Whatever that experience is, just make sure you're able to articulate that and why that position fits that experience that you are looking for. I think another big thing to think about as well too, and something I was always very honest with our candidates, is that our internship process, we only have one intern. And even this summer, there will be no other interns in our division at all. And so is that something someone's okay with coming in, knowing that they're going to be the only intern at our school? Or do they want more of that cohort experience where there are schools that are able to offer multiple internships where you can build that, make those connections and do those types of things? And so think about that. And I think the other thing that I appreciate when I was going through the process that my supervisor had a conversation about was, as like you go into job searching and stuff like that, this is a great opportunity to try things out. It's a short-term experience. And so for me, I decided I want to try a small school and see if I can work in like a rural area and see if that's something I could do when I go job searching, or is that something I'm like, nope, it was a great summer experience. I really enjoyed it, but maybe that's not something I can do for my sort of full-time job search after I graduate. And so that was very exciting for me. So just make sure you do your research and come prepared. It's a lot of interviews, but hopefully it's a fun time for you. And definitely make sure you're asking questions at the end to get the information that you need to make that decision whenever it comes, hopefully, to that decision time for you. And I will pass it over to Stephanie.
You all did a great job. You covered a lot of what I would have said already. What I tell a lot of my seniors and also the interns that I've worked with is print a map of the United States. X out any state you do not want to work in. And then beyond that, color code. And that's how you can start looking at the schools. And like all three before me have already said, figure out, why do you want to work at a small school? Why do you want to work at a big school? I personally attended to mid-size. I've worked at the University of Tennessee, which is a very large institution. I worked at the University of Tulsa, which is 7,500. And then I've worked at Furman, which is 2,600. So I've been all over. So kind of have that thought in your head. Why do you want to work at these different schools? What do you want to get from it? And also really look at the cities and what you need outside of the job. So my institution is an hour from Asheville, North Carolina. You like to hike, you like to go and kayaking, things like that. We're a great location. We're near all of that. We're about 3 hours from Atlanta. We've got multiple big cities around us, 2 hours from Charlotte. So if that's what you need to make you happy after hours, we can definitely accommodate that. But I've also had students who have come here for internships who haven't had cars and then really struggled because we're a little bit set out from Greenville itself. So you really do need a car. Our busing system is not a good one. So thinking about those things, am I going to take a car? Do I have to fly in? What are they going to provide for me? At our institution, we provide you an apartment and we'll provide all of the necessary kitchen essentials. But that's a great question to ask. Are you going to provide me an apartment? Are you going to provide me a meal plan? What's going to be the extra pieces that I need to cover? Because if you're only going to make a certain amount of money and you need additional income, you need to think about those things too.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. So now we're going to get to the open forum part of our webinar. So if any candidates in the room currently have any questions, please feel free to use the raise hand feature and I'll call on you. And that can start now. Hi, Gina.
Hi, my name is Jenna Mazurek. I am in Allendale, Michigan at Grand Valley State University. And I guess my question would be to just like how the interview, like reaching out for interview process works, as well as how the process for offers works as well, since I know there's like first round of offers on March 8th, and then like what the rounds look like after that.
Not quite sure if that's a question for Lauren in the room currently, since you kind of know the entire process and everything.
Yes. Hi, folks. To introduce myself, I'm Lauren Murphy. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the chair of the Housing Internship Program. I'm hosted at George Washington University. Jenna, great question. So how it happens is when contact period opens, which is tomorrow, you will start getting outreach from hosts who you've already applied to and kind of expressed interest of. I will say for me, as somebody who's run my program for several years now, I usually at this point in the year, I'm also running 3 other searches. So it might take a couple days. So do not panic if on that first day you do not get outreach, because sometimes it just takes me a little bit to get through all the amazing files. So it might take a week or so for me to reach out to all the folks that I want to interview. So be patient with yourself on that. For March 8th on offers day, folks cannot offer until that window opens, which is 1 p.m. So you can't hear from anyone before that. That is a very strict rule. Please let us know if you do hear from anyone before that period. And again, everybody's a little different. For myself, I call candidates first. And then, but for it to be official with ACUHO-I, it has to be offered through the portal. But I like that kind of one-on-one kind of touch base so that I can answer any questions, or especially for a lot of folks coming to DC, like there's a lot of travel logistics and questions about cost of living and things like that, which is why I do a phone call first. That's a very fair question to ask hosts as you're interviewing, like, what does this look like for you? Do you email? Do you call? Do you just offer through the portal? What should I expect on that day? Because that said, and having watched my grad students go through this, every school is a little bit different, but nobody can start before that offer window. You'll notice that you'll probably get the bulk of your offers in the first day or so from when that window opens. But then I also say, sometimes people turn us down. And then I'm like, oh goodness, I am still looking for my intern. And then I continue offering to the candidates that are on my list, because I usually have more that I want to hire than I actually can hire for. I have 1 internship, but I usually have about, like, knowing me, 5 people I want to hire, and I move through that as quickly as possible. If I exhaust that list, then I can keep interviewing candidates that are still looking for internships as well. So essentially, until all the candidates are either gone or all the internships are gone, like, the process can keep going from that point as well. Jenna, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess just a follow-up question with the offer process. So every university functions separately. So it's not like I would get a call from ACUHO-I and be like, okay, you got offers from here, 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 and here. You have 48 hours to make your decision.
Yes, the only thing that's central to everybody is everybody has to use the portal to do the official offer.
Right.
But yes, every institution will do their own offers. So that's a great question, Jenna. So everyone, typically the person that you interviewed with will be the person reaching out to do the offer to you.
And it's not 48, it's 24 hours, isn't it? So I guess like waiting.
It's 24 hours is like what we minimally ask. I give 48 to my candidates, but I think everyone's a little different with that. But at minimum, you all should expect 24 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Turning it back to John.
Do any of our panelists have anything else they would like to add to Jenna's question?
I would just add, I'm hiring for multiple positions. So I'll be hiring for pre-college resident directors, as well as for some pre-college program coordinators. So my timeline is usually a little bit after the 1 p.m. deadline. I know that puts me at a disadvantage with other institutions, but we just like to try to send things out centrally to like our top candidates at the same time, so it's consistent. So if it's a little bit after 1, like Lauren was saying, don't worry, like those things come. Just recognize that we're all hiring for a different amount of positions and making different considerations at the same time. And we have others that we need to consult, especially if we have other area coordinators or other folks who are involved in the decision-making process.
I would also add that this is a great opportunity and time to advocate for yourself in the time that you need to make the decision. So, right, like being able to say, I need the night to be able to think about this, while also acknowledging that like we are on the same kind of process and timeline that you are, and with the same urgency and excitement trying to fill those positions. So if you need to think about it, if you need to wait for a certain time, thinking about those things while balancing, right, like what is the likelihood that I'm going to get a call from another institution? What does that look like? When do I feel like I'm ready to make the decision that's going to work best for me as well?
I'm also going to throw in just from experience. Let's say that Lena's school is your top choice and I'm your second choice and I offered first. If you hear from her, do not feel bad. Do not think I'm going to be angry if you turn me down. Don't make me wait 48 hours because you're trying to sort out how to let me down gently. We're not going to be upset. We get it. You got to do what's best for you. At the end of the day, we will support that. But the sooner you can let us know, the quicker we can move on to get a different candidate who wants us to be their first choice.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. Our next question will be coming from Nikisha.
Hello, good morning. I'm a grad student at the Western Illinois University, and I wanted to know, is it possible for tomorrow to get offers from, or to get outreach from places that you haven't indicated interest with? Is that possible?
Yeah, I'll jump into this. Yes. So you'll have places you apply, but we actually really encourage our host sites to do their own recruitment. So they can see applications, they can see candidates in the portal. You'll see different folks do this. Sometimes I get so many candidates on my own, I don't have the time to go and like search out other candidates. But there's been years where I have the capacity to do that, and there can be some great kind of potential in that. So I reach out and say, hey, Nikisha, I just saw your application. I'm so excited. Could you apply? Like, if you're interested, I would love you to apply for my role. So yes, that does happen. I say apply to everything that you think is interesting to you, but I also know there's so many internships, right? So you might miss one. So I definitely keep an eye on your portal and your communications, because folks can definitely reach out if they see your profile and are interested.
I'm often found last year when we were actively doing the interviews, right, we would ask, candidates maybe after the fact or once they'd come to our campus. I remember talking to them like, well, what really drew you in? What made you want to apply? And some of them were like, well, I didn't do the initial application. Like, you reached out to me. I was like, oh yeah, like I remember XYZ about your material that really caught my eye. And I just remember the shock on their face being like, well, I just sort of assumed you sent that to everybody. And I think that that's really exciting too, is thinking about like us on our end have to individually click on each person that we're looking to send out an invite to, draft that message, send the message to you individually. I think that like means a lot as well. So it might not be a school that you initially thought about, but it could be, right, a great signal for you that, hey, like this person has taken the time to look at me as a person and like wants to get to know me better or sees potential. Let me see if this might be a good fit. And we found that a good majority of the humans that we actually ended up with for the summer hadn't applied to us before we reached out to them. And we're really glad that they ended up coming.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to echo what Lena said as well. Like we don't get to see who's applied to our positions yet, but we do get to see your candidate profiles, and we look strategically at some of the little check boxes you do if you're interested in a liberal arts university, or that seeing like what you stated in your candidate profile that you're looking for, and whether or not our internship meets that need. And if so, right, we know that you're looking at a million things. If we say, hey, we think we'd be a great fit for you, we'd love the opportunity to get in front of you. Definitely, like Lena said, know that that's personalized. Because we do spend a lot of time going through those, and it's really fun because we get to see a little bit of you, and that makes us want to get to know you more, and do that through the interview process. So hopefully, we're reaching out with that excitement.
Thank you very much.
So the next question will be from Jenna.
I guess this is another technicality question. How does the look of the portal change starting tomorrow? So like right now I can see all of the applications that I've submitted, but starting tomorrow, like where's the inbox for like what I received, like that type of stuff, if that makes sense.
Lauren, this might be a you question.
I'm seeing if Spencer is around. Oh, Spencer, how does the portal change tomorrow?
Sure, that's a great question. Hi there, everyone. Spencer from ACUHO-I. You've gotten emails from me, so thrilled that you're here. So tomorrow, the portal is going to flip where there's an envelope icon on the top right corner. That's the ability to message people. And on the host side, it's going to change dramatically because now there's going to be a button that says applications. And so far, they've, as was just noted, they can see the views, and all the employers keep asking, "Hey, Spencer, how do I know who's applied?" And I keep saying tomorrow. I just had someone ask, and the answer is tomorrow. So applications will be viewable. The messaging system opens up, and we'll go from there. Also, there's a calendar icon, usually in the top right, that will be able to be accessed by hosts and candidates. For hosts, and we'll let them know this a little bit more later today in their session, they'll want to drag individual boxes open for availability. And typically, if we're scheduling an interview through the system, they'll offer you to schedule an interview. You'll click their availability and then select the time slot that works best for you. Time slots are always representative of the time zone you're looking at on your computer. So if your computer is Central Time Zone, all the openings will be listed as that, even if the employer is on the West Coast. So just be mindful of that. That'll be a fun, big change. And interviews should not start until next week on Wednesday, but there's the ability to start scheduling them.
Thank you.
Spencer. So the next question will be from, I'm sorry if I butcher your name, Chiber.
Yeah, sorry. For some reason, if I turn in my video, it will a little bit. It will distort to the whole thing. I don't know why, but I hope everyone is hearing me right.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. I am Chibo Messiah. I'm a student at University of North Carolina here in Greensboro. I want to ask, what about those who do not have access to this ACUHO-I portal? Somebody who didn't meet up in registering, for being part of this, what they call it, I'm trying to remember the word to use, but I think someone who didn't sign in for ACUHO-I stuff. I want to confirm if the individual could still turn in some application for this summer internship.
So if someone hasn't joined the program, or if someone hasn't applied for a position?
Yeah. Somebody has not applied for position. The person intention is to apply for position, but do not have access to the portal because the individual didn't sign up for it yet. So what can the individual do?
The individual should sign up to join the program.
Okay.
If you have anyone, and this goes for everybody on the call, like we do have limited scholarships left for folks to cover their cost to join the platform. So on our internship informational page, there's a link to apply for the ACUHO-I intern scholarship, and that is a scholarship that can waive the cost to join the program and then have folks get in and be a part of the program at no cost. Just need to apply there. It's a very short, limited application. And so we've got that there, and that goes for everybody on the call. If you've got friends in your networks or in your cohort,
I did apply for it, and up till now I've not received any message. I think I turned in the application sometime last week or week before last, something like that.
Okay. Well, I'll be sure that we check into that more.
Yeah, Chibo Messiah from University of North Carolina, Greensboro.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shiber. Spencer will check into that for you. The next question will be coming from Tyler.
Hi, I'm an RA at Ohio State in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm in a part of the undergrad. And I just had a question because when looking at the applications, a lot of them do say, unfortunately, like a preferred level of education as graduate. And then there was like quite a little bit like that said like no preference, and then a little that said undergrad. For the ones that are no preference, does that mean like they're gonna take like between the two, or like should I not be expecting to apply to those because they're more looking for more like grad students rather than undergrad?
First of all, I say go Bucks as someone who's working.
I agree. Yes, go
was
Bucks.
just on campus today. I teach at OSU, and
Really?
everyone at ACUHO-I is an OSU employee. So
Good. That makes me happy.
long-time hall director there before coming over. I mean, our office is just down the street from your campus. I was talking numbers with our internship program committee yesterday. We have essentially 3 positions for every 1 undergrad in the program. We've got between 90 and 100 positions that are specifically there for undergraduate students. We've got, I think, 32 or 33 undergraduate students in the program so far. So for each undergraduate student, there's tons of opportunities. A lot of those positions have multiple openings. So you might be like, oh, there's only like 7 or 8 undergrads, but they've got a lot of openings. And then those ones that just say, hey, doesn't matter either way, those are folks that really want to intern, and they may lean toward someone who's a graduate student, but they're open to anything. The nice part about being an undergrad in this program is your availability is much later into the summer than a graduate student. Most graduate students, especially on the semester plans, need to get back to campus around July 15th. A lot of internship placements would love someone to be there till August 1st. If you're an undergraduate student, you can be there longer. So that's going to be a selling point for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, I actually have another question. I apologize. For like, this is like so far-fetched, but am I able to, like, whatever college that I go to for the summer for the internship, is it frowned upon if I like try to take classes at that college, or is that like a big no-no?
It's enough. It's neither no or yes. I think it's up to you and up to however their program is in terms of accepting credits over some of their summer schools that just don't have summer school.
Okay,
and I think that's one of the, it's a lens where if you're at Ohio State, you're like, oh, we definitely have summer classes. Many schools don't. So especially like a smaller private school may not have any courses over the summer.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
Tyler,
thank you. I appreciate
that
it.
you would want to let whoever your supervisor in the role know about that, as particularly if there could be conflicts between the role and your classes.
Okay, are you talking about like for
so when you get the role, the biggest thing I always recommend to my grads and undergrads is you need to let your supervisor know, particularly if there could be conflicts between you taking classes
and working the job
that you have.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Do any of our panelists have anything further they would like to follow up with Tyler about? Any of those questions?
Just never tell yourself no, honestly. So I did both an undergraduate internship at Harvard, which is where I met my partner. And then I went on to do a graduate internship. And when I was going through my initial undergraduate search, I applied to anything that interested me, if I'm being honest. And I let other people decide if my qualifications and my candidacy was going to meet what they were looking for or not. And surprisingly ended up with a couple of interviews in spaces that like were for graduate students. Ended up taking one that was for undergrads, right? But like, I think that it's up to you, up to your qualifications, and up to what the school is looking for. If you're the right fit, you're the right fit. And I often find that like a job search, right? Like sometimes we look at the qualifications, particularly women, people of color, right? And might see that we don't meet every single one of them perfectly, and it stops us from taking the chance. And I never want that for a candidate. I want you to put yourself out there. So don't tell yourself no.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So our next question will be coming from Judith.
Hi, everyone. I'm a graduate student at Western Illinois University. I use she, her pronouns. Unfortunately, I can't use my camera right now, but I have 2 questions. I'm interested in the interview process. So I'd like to know, are there a series of interviews candidates have to go through, or there's just one interview? And also from the panel, I'd like to know what kind of questions that you usually ask your candidates. And my second question would be that know there are a lot of openings out there, but is it possible that you might not get any offers from all the schools that you interview with? And if that happens, you reach out to ACUHO-I for other options or not? And I don't know if it's possible that you can advise on the minimum number of applications grad students should put in. Thank you.
Would any of our panelists have any answers to Judith's questions?
I can jump in with a few of them. So in terms of the interview process, whether it is one or a series of interview, I would say depends on the institution. Over the years, I think institutions that do things like to edit to make sure that they're being efficient with candidate time and see what's working best with scheduling, as well as with staff availability or the amount of staff that they have in their office. I know for RISD, we do a 1 hour one round interview there, and then we'll do a follow-up with candidates too to give them a chance to ask questions of us for those who are moving forward. That portion is optional for them. But there are other places that will have 2 series of interviews as well. So it really depends on that. In terms of interview questions, every school is going to be unique and every job is going to be unique and have things based towards that. But the format that I often see with places is skill-based questions. So, right, ones that are going to assess your skills, both your soft skills and some of your hard skills with communication, collaboration, technology, administrative work, as well as like your understanding of certain systems or certain contexts within that functional area. Those will go there. And then more job-specific ones, right? If you're going to be in housing and residence life and serving in any on-call capacity, you'll get some crisis response questions, maybe some report writing questions and things that will assess your knowledge of how to react to a situation in somewhat of a case study from time to time. Other spaces will also get to talk about your professional goals and needs too. So I know we keep pushing that, but making sure that you're aware of what those are and that you can articulate them will be important so that your interviewers get to know that and really get an understanding of whether or not they can provide you with that. So there's that. And I'm sorry, I think I missed the second portion of your question, but I hope I provided some good answers there.
Any other panelists like to answer any of Judith's questions? Perfect. And then I think the third question was more of a Lauren and Spencer question, correct? About the, is it possible not to receive any offers, and then what then?
It's possible. I would say I've told all our employers, and I'll tell you as candidates, like it's a rolling process. So keep applying for positions. There's no way all the positions will get filled. So if you are a quality candidate, there's an internship out there for you, provided you're offering some availability over the summer months to go get an experience. Cast a wide net. Be picky for you, find the best fit for you, but at the same time, like go apply to positions. You can typically see how many openings each position has. Well, positions that have more than one opening are looking for more candidates potentially. And then I will also say that I try later in the process to reach out to employers to say, hey, who still really needs an intern? And I compile that list and I send it out to the candidates one more time. The process is rolling until the positions are filled. There is no end date. So once we start interviews next week, it's a rolling process. Offers can be made in March, and then anytime after March, an offer can be made. So that might be March, that might be April, that could be May. Be persistent. If you want an internship, there's an internship to go get. There shouldn't be a candidate who goes through this process that says, shucks, no one wanted to offer me a position. There are tons of opportunities out there for you. So pursue them.
All right, thank you.
All right. So our next question will be coming from Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz. I go by she, her. I am at Bloomsburg University of Pennsylvania, which is now Commonwealth University, and we are a branch campus. My question is, how important is it to the interviewers that we write a personalized message when we're like applying for an internship? If that made sense.
And the floor is open to our panelists.
I would say the big thing that I use more is your profile whenever people reach out or submit applications. So I would say like everyone's different. I think it would be good to put a little short thing in there, like, hey, really interested in this because X, Y, and Z. But for me, I think it's also making sure that your profile is more up to date for me, because that's what I'm going to skim and look at whenever whenever it opens up tomorrow, whenever time it opens up and I start looking and reaching out to candidates and looking at those who've applied. And even now, I would say, as I think we've shared, I can't remember who shared it, but I'm also going through right now and looking at candidate profiles, and I'm going to be reaching out to specific people as well too that I feel would be a good fit based on their profile. So even if your profile isn't updated, I would highly recommend that you update it, because that's something that I know I'm going to be looking at. But it never hurts to send a very brief message. I wouldn't make it super long, because we're probably going to be getting lots of emails. I think it was Laura talking about we're all managing 4 or 5 processes right now, and so we're all going through very quickly. So if you are sending something personalized, make it very short, succinct. Hey, saw your position, really excited about X, Y, and Z, would love to interview. Great, that shows me you're interested. I'm gonna look at your profile, think it's a fit, let's offer you an interview and kind of move forward. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Does that answer your questions okay, Liz?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Judith, I see your hand is still up. Do you have another question?
No, sorry.
No problem. Are there any more questions from any of the candidates in the room currently? All right. Well, one of our final questions to wrap up, because I'm not sure if any candidates are thinking about it, but it was something that affected me quite a bit in my internship process, is near the end, during the interview process, I received about 40 interview requests. So the question to the panelists to answer is, how should candidates prioritize which interviews they should accept and which interviews to not accept? And whoever would like to answer.
I can go first. Or Michael, would you rather go first? Okay.
Go ahead, Steph.
I think it goes back to, like I said, figuring out what are your top choices, where are the places you want to be, why do you want to be there, maybe start there and then work your way down. And also remind yourself that if this is a school or an institution that you really don't want to interview with, don't offer the interview, don't accept the interview, don't waste your time, because that's not really practice, because you're giving them false hope, and we don't need that, because like everybody's already said, we're balancing a million things. We're like in my office alone, we're balancing hiring summer, we're doing RA interviews this week and next week, selection, trying to hire 2 professional staff members. Like this month is insane for us. So, if you want to come to us, great, apply, we'll interview. But if you don't, it's okay. We're not going to be upset.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that. I would say don't feel like you have to say yes to everything, because you are going to get a lot of interviews, especially like, you might, that when that opens up tomorrow, you might be like, no one's contacting me. But again, we have time, we're all busy. People are going to be contacting you. So know that you can say yes to things and you can say no to things. I would definitely recommend, I think, as all of us have said, have kind of your interest in what you're looking for. And if that school who reaches out to you to offer an interview and you're like, well, this doesn't meet all of my stuff, then say no, thank you. I think we've also had candidates. I know this is kind of tricky at times, because like you might be like, well, they don't meet everything, but like I've only gotten reached out from 2 people. I only have 2 interviews right now. And then like 3 days later, you get those 40 requests that John was talking about. And maybe that school you said yes to isn't going to be a fit anymore because you have more offers. Let us know. Again, we're not going to get our feelings hurt or anything like that. Be open and honest with us about where you are. And you can be like, hey, like I've had a lot more opportunities I'm really excited about. This seems like a really good opportunity, but I don't know if it's a fit for me. I'm going to go ahead and say no, thank you to this interview, even though I already signed up. Just let us know. And that's completely fine. It's okay. We know that this is a process where there's going to be people reaching out to you at multiple different times. We all don't reach out to you at the same time. But all I think I'd ask, and I would probably say all of us on here, is just transparency and like where you're feeling or where things are going. And it's going to be okay. You're not going to burn bridges. You're not going to hurt feelings. I would rather someone be very transparent and honest that, hey, this is not going to be the place that I can see myself now that I have all these other opportunities. Great. I want what's best for you. Yes, what's best for us, but we also want what's best for you, because this is a great development opportunity for you all as well too. But just be honest with us, I think, is a big thing I would say.
And I would add, There may be schools reaching out to you and posting very, very, like in big, bold letters, clearly what their dates are. Even if you love the position, if you can't do the dates, don't accept the interview, right? Because there are some places that are going to be flexible with those. And you can have a conversation, but if there are hard dates and you know that you either have to start way later or end way earlier, I wouldn't accept the interview for that. Because then you're going to have to go through the heartache of saying, wow, you were great, we loved you, you loved me, but it's not going to work out. So just be intentional when you're looking at that, and don't take those interviews for your sake and for theirs as well.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. Does any of our panelists have any last minute bits of advice for any of our candidates or any last words of wisdom for them?
I'm just going to say, really honestly, look at where you would be willing to live. It's only a few months. It's a great experience. When I lived in Oklahoma, I was there for 3 years. I was petrified to move out there. And granted, mine was a full-time job, but my interns came from Wisconsin and they loved it because they were used to summers in the 70s. They were coming down to summers in 111 degrees and dry heat. So they had a totally different experience. So look into that too. Is it a place that you would be willing to live for a few months and have that awesome experience that you might never have in your future? So consider that.
I do think it is a great opportunity to really to get a totally opposite experience. Again, I came from the South at a huge school, and I really wanted to find out if a smaller institution, if a private institution, if working with a specialized population, like what did I want? And doing that, I was like, oh my goodness, I actually don't want to stay here at all in the South. Like I don't want to stay at the school at all. And it wasn't that it wasn't great, it just wasn't the right fit for me. And I ended up moving up to Boston, to Massachusetts, and have just like progressively gotten to like smaller schools. And I'm like, this just keeps getting better and better for me. And so I think it's an amazing opportunity to really step outside of your comfort zone, try something new at such a brief period. And remember that the goal is for you to enjoy yourself, to learn something about yourself, and to figure out like, is this what I want to do, where I want to do it.
And network. Use this whole process as an opportunity to network. Our field is so small, and you have the opportunity, even in the brief interviews you're doing, whether or not they select you as your candidate or you select them, you can make some great connections. These are people who, if you're active in conferences or professional development, that you will run into again. So use this as a chance to get to know them and stay in touch. I know I've stayed in touch with people from when I was searching as a grad intern for schools that I loved, but didn't end up accepting, but just wanted to have that relationship. And it's great to catch up with them at conferences, to hear about their institution, and to know that there's always that point of connection. So keep that in mind as you go through. The same thing will go with the peers that you could be interns with, right? Some of my best friends are actually from my ACUHO-I internship. We were in each other's weddings. It was a wild time. But I've also learned so much from them professionally at the same time. So it's great to have that.
Yeah, I would echo what everyone else has said. And I think the big thing is just, I know it's hard to say have fun. I know you're going to be very nervous and anxious. Interviews are never fun, but I think it's a great opportunity for you to, one, network with people, but then also like show off what you've been doing in either undergrad or grad, and kind of how your skill set would help whatever department position you're applying for. And it is a good time, I think, for us as well too. We, while many of us probably on this Zoom call will be in lots of those interviews, there's also lots of people at other institutions that will be involved, a part of those interviews as well too. Many of them who are maybe just out of grad school, just out of undergrad. And so a great time to meet with them and kind of learn more about it. And I would just say, make sure you have your questions ready that you're going to ask us at the end. That's always a big thing for us, and be prepared for to ask questions that will get to some of the things that you're looking for and will help you make a decision if needed.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So this is the end of our webinar. I wanted to say thank you so much to the candidates that came here today. Thank you so much to Lauren and Spencer for helping with those questions that I do not know and answering all the technology questions as well. And then a big, big thank you to all of our panelists as well for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here and help these candidates with their process. So thank you all so much again, and thank you for coming.